Good evening, you're watching Brass Tacks with me, Zakka Jacob, and we're coming to you live from the CNN News 18 primetime studio presented by Green Lamb Laminates. Time and again, the Congress Party has blamed the electronic voting machines, or EVMs, for their loss in elections, whether it's in Haryana or more recently in Maharashtra. But today, the Congress Party's very demand for going back to the ballot paper has been met with a discordant note by one of its own allies. Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister Omar Abdullah has said that it's not right to blame the EVMs alone after a loss, and particularly more so just after losses. The TMC too now has chimed in and joined Omar Abdullah in this bandwagon. The TMC's leader Abhishek Banerjee, and Member of Parliament from Diamond Harbour, he says that those questioning the EVMs must also be able to furnish proof. Even as allies seem to be striking a different note from the Congress Party on the question of electronic voting machines and whether they can be manipulated or not, the Congress Party remains adamant in its stand. It continues to demand that elections be held on ballot papers, even though there is a history of evidence to suggest ballot stuffing and booth capturing in the era when elections were conducted using ballot papers. The BJP seems to be using the allies, the very allies of the Congress Party, part of the India Alliance, first the NC, now the TMC, to say that the Congress does not have a locus on this issue. So the question that's being asked tonight, and that's our first debate tonight here on Brass Tacks, is it time for the Congress Party to finally give up on this EVM bahana?
The EVMs can't only be a problem when you lose the election. So when you get 100 plus members of parliament using the same EVMs and you celebrate that as sort of a victory for your party.
जो लोग ईवीएम पे सवाल उठा रहे हैं, अगर उनके पास कुछ है तो इलेक्शन कमीशन को जाके वो डेमो दिखानी चाहिए। तो मुझे नहीं लगता है कि ये जो एलिगेशन है इसमें कोई सब्सटेंस है।
Other parties, our India Alliance partners like Samajwadi leader Akhilesh ji in the Lok Sabha, when we were present, he told him that we would have won through these kind of methods, but we wish that we will go back to the ballot paper. So this is the stand of NCP leader Sharad Pawar ji. This is the stand of Shiv Sena leader Thackeray साहब.
हम जब बोलते हैं उसको तो समझ में नहीं आता है. अभी तो इनका अलाइज ही बोल रहे हैं. At least now they should understand, they should realize.
नहीं वो EVM छोड़ दो, हमको EVM PVM कुछ नहीं, हमको होना बैलेट पेपर पे वोट बस.
All right, let's open this up to our guests. Our full panel joining us on the first debate tonight on Brass Tacks. Siddharth Yadav is spokesperson of the BJP, Adil Singh Boparai, spokesperson of the Congress Party, Imran Nabi Dar, spokesperson of the National Conference Party, and we'll also be joined by Mr. Mohammad Amin, who is a former Joint Director and Chief of Protocol to the Election Commission of India. Adil, let me start with you, and I'm going to quote to you what your own ally, Omar Abdullah, the Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister, the head of the National Conference, has said, cannot blame EVMs alone for poll loss. Why blame EVMs only when a political party loses? Stop whining about EVMs and accept the poll results. This is not a BJP spokesperson or a BJP leader. This is your own alliance partner, Mr. Omar Abdullah, the Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir. Adil, respond.
Zakka, I think this very question, this debate has been wrongly framed. The question which the country needs to ask and which all of us need to seriously consider is whether the election process has to be strengthened in this country or not. Our position is slightly more nuanced. The question today is that the purity, the sanctity, and the independence of the electoral process has to be safeguarded. There are numerous instances where we've seen a partisan ECI, and I'll just give you 2-3 illustrations because of paucity of time. Number one, you had a situation where Maharashtra, Jharkhand, Haryana, and J&K would go to polls together. In this occasion, You had Maharashtra and Jharkhand being deferred by the ECI for no obvious reason, number one. Number two, there have been numerous instances where the ECI's action has been differential, or should I say rather differential to the BJP. There have been instances where the ECI has turned a blind eye to brazen and blatant violations of the MCC by the BJP. So therefore, the question is slightly different. The question is, does the Indian
but Adil,
political
all of these
system-
instances that you just mentioned have nothing to do with the electronic voting machines. And you say that the Congress Party has a nuanced position on the EVMs. I want to quote to you the president of your party, Mr. Manickam Tagore, as recently as November 2024, he said, and I quote, "Let them keep the EVMs with them. We don't want EVMs. What we want is voting on ballot paper. Then the country will know what their position is and what our position is." This is the president of the Congress Party. There's hardly anything nuanced about it.
Please understand this, Zakka. If there are reasonable and credible voices in our electorate which believes that the process has been tampered or manipulated with, I see no reason why we should not adopt to a process which gains more credibility. At the end of the day, Zakka, the objective of this entire electoral process is that it inspires confidence of every citizen of this country. The question is not us versus them. Unfortunately, the media likes to see things in binaries. It is not us versus them. It is whether we want to strengthen the electoral
if
process
it's a question of process and the vitiation of the process, and if the solution to the vitiation of the process is to go back to ballot papers, then maybe we should play out some visuals from the 80s and 90s where there was scientific rigging and ballot paper stuffing and booth capturing, etc. But anyway, let me now move on to let me move on to Siddharth Yadav and ask him. You know, the contention of the Congress Party. The contention of the Congress Party is, you know, the process has to be above board. There shouldn't be a shred of doubt about the process, and to ensure that is the onus of the Election Commission. They are citing instances, for example, in Maharashtra recently, where there were entire villages which said that not a single vote went to the opposition, whereas, you know, there were candidates who said not even their family members had voted for them, etc. These are anecdotal, individual, isolated cases, but even those, the Congress Party's contention is, Siddharth Yadav, are casting doubts or aspersions on the process, and the process has to be above board, otherwise democracy itself is under question.
Zakka, there's no doubt about it. But the reality is that the process is above everybody else. There are procedures laid down, the procedures are followed, and at multiple occasions the Election Commission has invited, the Supreme Court of the country has given its rulings, and the opposition was invited to pinpoint what exactly is the issue that they feel, where tampering can happen. Hackathons were done, but nobody came up, nobody came forward, and that shows that the reality, the issue is something else. Now, if I need to understand this issue, why is it that Omar Abdullah, who wins in Jammu and Kashmir, has no issue about it? Why is it that Hemant Soren, when he wins in Jharkhand, has no issue about it? Abhishek Banerjee was today speaking on the same lines as Omar Abdullah. He won in West Bengal and he has no issue about it. When Sukhwinder Singh Sukhu of the Congress Party himself is sworn in Himachal Pradesh, EVMs are absolutely all right. When Siddaramaiah is sworn in Karnataka, EVMs are absolutely all right. When Revanth Reddy is sworn in, EVMs are absolutely all right. So if I have to understand this, I think it is nothing more but of a loser's rant. I do not wish to use such strong words, but when processes of our country are questioned in a manner which are just for political gains, I think it is a very serious issue and political parties should take it very seriously. Why are you not participating in the hackathon?
Okay.
The Supreme Court is coming out and saying that you cannot have this policy that when you win, you are celebrating the EVM, and when you lose, the EVM is wrong. This is the Supreme Court, the Honorable Supreme Court of the country saying this. But the problem with the Congress Party is, and I'll just take 10 seconds, is there no expert in the Congress Party who can come out and say? Only political leaders have to come out and say? What is the issue? There are already processes, Zakka. The Form 17C is given to all candidates, all booth agents. Mock polling happens. All machines are matched with the control unit. And even if a candidate is not satisfied, 100% VVPAT matching is an option available once he applies. So you can do 100% matching of that.
Okay.
But you want to hide behind that the electorate had no confidence. The people have no confidence. The only thing the people have no confidence
What Siddharth Yadav was referring to about what the election commission, the Supreme Court,
process of the country.
Mind you, the Supreme Court has gone into this matter on multiple occasions. As recently as November of this year, it made oral observations in a petition that was moved in the case of Andhra Pradesh, the elections of 2024, where Chandrababu Naidu and the TDP won. It was challenged in a public interest litigation, and these were oral observations made by the highest court of the land. When you lose, EVMs are tampered with. When you win, EVMs are fine. When Chandrababu Naidu or Jagan Mohan Reddy lost, they said that EVMs are tampered with. When they won, they don't say anything. How can we say this? This is the highest court of the land. So let me ask Imran Nabi Dar, this is similar to what your leader and the Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir, Mr. Omar Abdullah, is saying, that it can't just be a loser's rant, as Siddharth Yadav put it, that every time you lose, then there is a problem with the process and a problem with the machine, but every time you win, then it's fine. Everything is hunky-dory.
No, I think we are missing a point here. Umar Saab has not said this for the first time. The interview that you are quoting, the PTI interview, he has said this earlier also. So this is not a new position that we are taking. Umar Saab said this before the J&K Assembly elections. Umar Saab is continuously saying this, that about the EVMs. The only issue that that concerns us right now is that we are trying to create us versus them scenario. Here, there is no us versus them. National Conference is very much part of the India bloc, and there are issues that can be discussed. There are opinions that might not be acceptable to the other party, but that doesn't mean that that doesn't mean that we are against each other. We have our own viewpoint. In Jammu and Kashmir, Congress has a viewpoint which is entirely different from our viewpoint on many occasions. I mean, you are aware of the recent resolution that was passed in the Assembly. Congress had a different viewpoint on that. So it doesn't mean that
on Article 370, yes.
We are against each other. We have made our opinion. Umar Saab gave his opinion on the EVM issue, and we do not expect everyone to agree.
Imran Nabi Dar, there's a legitimate question that can be asked. Yes, no two political parties in an alliance, even the NDA has differences. For example, on Muslim quota, Mr. Chandrababu Naidu has a different position compared to the BJP. But, that's not the issue. The issue is those differences are not necessarily aired in public. Those differences are not spoken about in an interview to a news agency. Those are spoken about in private. And even if those differences are there, at a time when the Congress Party has been going hammer and tongs, and I quoted Mr. Mallikarjun Kharge, no less the president of the Congress Party, saying, "Hame EVM nahi chahiye, hame ballot paper chahiye." In fact, went on to the extent of saying, just like there was Bharat Jodo, there should be a ballot Jodo Yatra. At such a time, for a key ally and a key member of the India alliance to come out and say this, the Congress's contention is, you are making Rahul Gandhi look bad.
I don't think anyone is saying that. I am sure that there would be discussions on it, and we are expecting that the meeting would be called out, and there has been no meeting of the India Alliance post elections. I think all these issues will be ironed out in the forthcoming meeting also. So I as representative of National Conference, I would just say that it is not that we would project it as a fight between allies. It is just an honest expression of opinion. Of opinion of different.
So before I go to Amin Saab, before I go to Mr. Mohammad Amin, who was a former joint director and also Chief Protocol Officer for the Election Commission of India. I'm coming to you, Amin Saab, in just 1 second. Here's a look back at the history of use of electronic voting machines. In December of 1988, when Rajiv Gandhi was Prime Minister of this country, the law was amended. The Representation of People's Act was amended, granting allowance for using electronic voting machines. The first ever general election, all India election to the Lok Sabha, where EVMs were used through and through, there was not a single ballot paper used in that election, was in 2004. And guess who won that election? The UPA, headed by the Congress Party, won the 2004 general election, the very first time EVMs were used in a general election. Since the year 2000, in state assembly elections, over 100, in fact, in 113 state assembly elections, EVMs have been used. Congress has won many, BJP has won many. EVMs have been used in 5 general elections up until now. So, Adil, the law was amended when the Congress was in power. The first general election when EVMs were used, Congress won that election. Out of the 5 general elections that we've had, 2 Congresses won and 3 the BJP-led NDA has won. And 113 state assembly elections have been fought on EVMs. Congress has won a lot and BJP has also won a lot. So there's simply no historical sort of evidentiary basis for now suddenly waking up and saying, oh, EVMs are the reason why Congress is not able to fight the BJP or Congress is not able to beat the BJP.
Zakka, in your list of dates, you forget that in 2009, Mr. Advani and several BJP MPs, and to just give you one name, GVL Rao, had made serious reservations about the use of the EVM, but that is not the issue. I am again repeating, we are not living in normal or usual times. And it is the consistent and the considered position of the Congress Party that in today's India, you have an institutional capture by the BJP and the RSS, where agencies have become handmaidens or footnotes of the BJP. Under these circumstances, and I've given you instances where there is no response from the ECI, where a level playing field has been altered. What is the Congress Party saying, and so are the other opposition parties, that the need of the hour is to strengthen the credibility of the election process. If the BJP is so confident about their own electoral fortunes, then why are they shying away from a ballot paper contest? I can turn that question around. The question today, which all this entire
but the ballot paper has been tried and tested and failed. It's like saying, cars cause accidents. Let's go back to bullock carts.
Zakka,
it's a regressive argument.
There are dozens. Zakka, there are dozens of Western countries, advanced democracies, which have reverted back to the ballot paper. We can have a debate on those issues. We can have a debate on the efficacy of the model. The question today is, you are living in a time of an institutional capture, where the BJP is completely turning the rules on its head, where a level playing field is being denied to the opposition. Today, unfortunately, instead of the government being in the dock, it is the opposition party which is put into the witness box and made an accused. This is the reality of our times.
No. See,
so, like I said, this is what our leaders
Adil,
have
the
said.
point is, no one is saying that our electoral process is picture perfect. Okay, there are flaws. And there are very serious flaws. I, for example, think that this whole idea of putting limits just on candidates, how much money they can spend, and not on political parties is an aberration. It's an aberration, it's a loophole that all political parties take advantage of. So if you really want to check the flow of money power and muscle power into elections, which I believe is the root cause of a lot of corruption in this country, at least in our political system, then you have to have limits not just on individual candidates, you have to have limits on how much a political party can spend to fight an election. But having said that, I mean, that's a debate worth having. But let me go to Mr. Amin. He's been waiting very patiently. One second, please. One second, Adil, please. Let me go to Mr. Amin. Mr. Amin, I had Dr. S.Y. Qureshi, former Chief Election Commissioner of India, on my show a few weeks back. And one of the points he made, of course, he's dismissed this whole thing about EVM Bahana and EVM being hackable and all of that. But he did say that the onus of showing that the process is above board, much like Caesar's wife has to be above board, is on the Election Commission. And he said one of the things, for example, that can be done, and it might be slightly time consuming, but at least it will make the process appear squeaky clean, is why can't you have every polling machine to be matched with a VVPAT? Right now, I believe it is 5 machines in one booth out of randomly selected, not all booths, but in some booths, 5 machines are being matched, VVPAT and the polling machine, the EVM. Even if it takes 24 hours or 48 hours, why cannot we match every vote that has been polled into the machine, every vote that has been registered in the machine, be tallied with what has shown up in the VVPAT? All right, we've lost Mr. Amin's audio. I'll try and go back to that if we can get Mr. Amin. But Siddharth Yadav, this is a position taken by Mr. Qureshi, and he feels that the onus of the process appearing, not just the process being, but the process appearing to the common man to be above board, above question, beyond reproach, is for the Election Commission to take that initiative. And if it means that you have to match every single vote, every single EVM to the VVPATs, then so be it. And even if it delays results, that's okay.
No, Zakka, I'm not here representing the Election Commission, and I totally agree with what you were saying. The Election Commission, with what I have seen, has on multiple occasions invited all political parties, all political stakeholders, and has tried to give a voice to everybody, and has also invited any objections that people had. Unfortunately, has become a trend that opposition parties never engage in such constructive meetings. Rather, they just to use this as a tool for media. That is a different thing altogether. But my friend from Congress Party, I feel, was saying that we should have a debate about it. Why are we shying? Let's have a debate about it. Why don't you start with Omar Abdullah? Then go to Hemant Soren. Then go to Mamata Banerjee. First, start a debate in the opposition. Is it just because you are losing, now you have to blame something, and you are saying, no, we'll have a debate upon it? And Zakka, I say this with utmost responsibility. Everywhere, in any part of the world, if an election happens, if a party loses, if a leader fails, the leader comes out and takes responsibility. Unfortunately, in today's Congress, the Rahul Gandhi and under his leadership, the Congress Party has lost over 70 times. Now, he can't come out and say that I'm losing. He has never done so. So he needs a scapegoat. And that scapegoat is, unfortunately, the election process of this country. It's unfortunately the EVM. Nobody in the Congress Party can come out and say that it is the Rahul Gandhi who has been failing, but now they want to do all the bashing against EVM. That is most unfortunate, because you're keeping your interest over country's interest. You're keeping your family's interest over the country's
Amin's
interest.
line is back. So Mohammad Amin, please answer that question that I asked you. Even if it means a delay of a day or two or three, why can't we have every single vote be tallied with every single VVPAT machine that is available?
First time, I'm going to welcome the Mr. Kharge's statement about the EVM machines, and he want to go back to the ballots. Actually, he doesn't know or forget about that. This EVM was started by the election in the Election Commission by their own ex-Prime Minister. They have introduced the amendment of the bill, Mr. Rajiv Gandhi, and this was introduced EVM. At that time, nobody can appreciate, like GVL Narasimhan also written a book, and this was inaugurated by the Advani ji, late Advani ji, the Prime Minister, ex-Vice Prime Minister of India. He has also accused a lot of things about the EVMs. So nobody has appreciated to EVMs. And I'm sure that now everybody is satisfied that all state chief justices has already given in advance. Now the Supreme Court has given the stamp on that. The EVM is correct. Nobody can change or nobody can do anything wrong practices with the EVM. EVM is just like electronic, just like a calculator. And if calculator is not attached with the, we can say, internet, so nobody can hack or anything happen with the EVM machine. You are asking about the ballot after the EVM votes and the VVPAT. So there is no change you can find. Every polling after polling, every agent has to right to take, and our presiding officer is always giving to farm number 17, as you know, and everybody knows, and every party person knows. So I know that everybody is going to appreciate, not going to appreciate the Election Commission's working, and they're hard working and honestly working, but they are thinking if they are not working for the public, so public can go to elect them. That's why they are losing elections, and after that, the scapegoat is there, that they're always having the blame on the Election Commission officers, Election Commission machines, and Election Commission's process. Every process is very clear.
But what about the larger charge that Mr. Boparai of the Congress Party says that, Election Commission is not ensuring a level playing field. It changes dates, it clubs and declubs states in a way that they feel, the Congress feels, is beneficial to the BJP. They've given the example of Maharashtra recently, how it always used to go to polls with Haryana. They separated that. So basically, Congress is saying, okay, EVMs is one part of it, but the level playing field is not there to fight elections.
which type of a level playing they want. Every right has there. All the stakeholders from the Congress, BJP or other parties, everybody has. But Election Commission cannot give winning certificate to Congress or to BJP or to anyone. Who has get the vote, get the certificate from the Election Commission officers, signed by the Election Commission observer, and they are giving returning officer, he is elected. But how they can say that playing is not level given to anyone? Everybody knows. Even presiding officer is also giving all forms, all facilities to all polling agents from all parties. Every time. Why he is blaming for that? If they are performing, they are doing the work.
I'll give
for
Adil
the public.
the final word. I think the point that
Mr.
Amin made is a genuine one and a valid one, that after every round, both of voting and of counting, there is a Form 17C. At the end of the day, after the voting concludes, every political party's representative is shown the number of votes that have been polled in every booth. They all sign off on Form 17C. Then the machine is locked and it only opens on counting day after it's kept in the strong room. So the point is that at least the voting part of this process is certified by agents of every political party, including the Congress Party.
Zakka, this entire debate has to be seen from a non-adversarial perspective. Now, I'll just give you one more instance. Till last year, you had a collegium comprising of the Prime Minister, the Leader of the Opposition, and the Chief Justice of India, which used to appoint the election commissioners. Today, the government of the day has even changed that system. The efficiency of any body depends on the people who man that body. Unfortunately, today, under the BJP, which has autocratic tendencies, they have manipulated and rigged the entire process of who mans these institutions. I again go back to the larger question. I have no doubt in my mind, as a responsible citizen of this country and as an objective citizen of this country, that there is a negation of a level playing field when it comes to the opposition. And this is not just restricted to the Election Commission. This includes the agencies, this includes the media, this includes
Siddharth Yadav, the IT, ED, CBI, BJP, uses these agencies to topple governments. Congress is giving the example of Goa and Madhya Pradesh and Meghalaya and so on and so forth. So it's not just about the Election Commission and not having a level playing field. It's also the fear that BJP uses these agencies to break smaller opposition parties. Siddharth Yadav, final word. I need to wrap up in 30 seconds. Yeah.
No. Zakka, how many governments were toppled? How many governments were suspended? Does the Congress Party even have the right to say this? The one party which has toppled most governments under Article 356 of the Indian Constitution, which never let any government of any opposing ideology to sustain in this country, is saying this at a time when the federalism is the strongest. No government in this country in the past 10 years has been toppled. No use of Article 356. So I think this is another rant of the Congress Party that they want to blame, no, all agencies are like this. Where were the agencies when you were in power? The agencies function like they function. If you have nothing to hide, if you have no problem at your end, you would have no issue. But it is that, since something has to be a scapegoat to save the Gandhi family, I think it is just that.
All right, we'll leave it at that. Thank you very much, Adil Boparai, Siddharth Yadav, Imran Nabi Dar, and Mr. Mohammad Amin for joining us. I want to move on to another story. And